I met John, he was probably about 18. I was 25. He was running the CYO basketball, I believe, with Joe Rutch, and always taking care of the kids. Later in life, John was on the Board of Education, where I joined him in 1984. And we became close, we were close friends. We did a lot of work together for the students. We always had the same mindset. At the plane crash, John was the fire chief. I was in charge of the special police, and we worked together for a long time. John worked tirelessly. I remember looking for the pilot of the small aircraft. He did that for days and days. He never gave up, and they finally did locate what they were looking for. Superman, yes. His family dubbed him with the right name. He was Superman. John, I've volunteered a lot in this town, but I'm nowhere near the things John was able to do in his short lifetime. We worked together. He was the fire inspector. I used to visit him in the fire borough hall all the time, and we discussed things. And we agreed on a lot of subjects. John was the one man who, on the Board of Education, where if I was starting to go off on somebody, John could reel me back in. Very simple. He was the one guy who could control me a little bit, and I was glad for that. This way it saved me a lot of trouble. When Sammy asked me to do this, I was very thrilled and happy, and I jotted down a couple of notes. I don't usually speak from a piece of paper. I always talk off the cuff, and I could do that usually for about 20 minutes at any time, on any subject. As a politician for many years, you know, I could talk for a long time. But I jotted down these notes, and it reminded me of times when I was with John when we first started seeing Karen. And John obviously became interested in Karen. They got together and they got married. And I was one of the two people on the board that John invited to the wedding. Myself and Pat Coulter were the only two people who invited his wedding from the Fairview board, because we were closest to him. The three of us spent a lot of time together, and it was enjoyable. John was a very knowledgeable person, pleasure, and I was very happy to call him my friend. As far as the firefighters in this town, I have to just give them a shout out, because back in 1988, when the Fairview Ambulance Corps quit, the mayor came to me and asked me to do something, and I did. I created the emergency response unit. And we had very few people. We had only 1 or 2 EMTs, and needed help during the midnight shift. And for 3 or 4 months, until we were able to go to school, the Fairview Fire Department covered midnights in Fairview on the ambulance, without question, without problem. They were a dedicated bunch, and to go into fight a fire is probably, I think, one of the toughest things to do. In closing, I just want to say it's nice to be here, nice to see everybody here for this event. It was a pleasure talking about John. I still think about him. I miss him very much. Thank you. Anybody have any questions about any of this?